Hello and welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelly. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Guess what day it is? It's D20, baby. And what that is that every month on the 20th, I host a fantasy-based card reading. I call it my Dungeons and Dragons reading. It's basically just a general term for a special type of spread that I do. Just like all of my weekly readings, you the watcher would get to choose from one of 3 tarot decks. But what I do is I begin the reading with one fantasy card, and what we do is we read the story behind the fantasy card. Then we go ahead and pull tarot cards to see what holds you back and what propels you forward. We have oracle cards that say what is at the heart of the matter and what your advice is. And then I have dice in Chakra that are D&D dice in Chakra colors, and we go ahead and pick one and throw a die to see to get an energy about your reading. Now, this reading is very special because the cards that I use is I use the special cards that have a story to them. I think it's nice because what it does is it lets you kind of take on a character other than yourself. And just like tabletop fantasy games like Dungeons and Dragons or any other fantasy game that you play where you take on a persona, I think it's a nice way for you to just kind of get out of yourself and be someone different. And definitely, given the events of this week, I'll be honest, I've been feeling a little under the weather. Nothing scary, nothing. It's not the baddie that's going around. It is not anything related to COVID, but it is just general fatigue and stress and worry. Actually, last night I had a little bit of anxiety about the current virus going around. It's impacting so many people, and it's really changing the way that we live. And for a minute there, I did feel very tired. I've been fatigued and I've been worn down, and I think all of us really need a break, right? But amongst all this chaos, I really, I debated. I said, okay, do I want to do the D20 reading? Because, but then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? This is something that we need. I only host this reading once a month on the 20th, and right now there's nothing more important than kind of getting out of our own head. You know what I mean? Sometimes it is good to just turn off the news and not look at the news streams, and because it winds you up. It winds you up, and I don't know if that's just me, but in the middle of the night, I was awake and worried and scared and, thinking about the people that I care about and thinking about myself. And I just, so I hope that this reading is a comfort to you. And I hope that it lets us check out for a little while and do what I love to do anytime I'm feeling stressed, and that's to throw cards. So what I will do is I will go ahead and I will pause the video. The timestamps are always listed in the description box below, but go ahead and choose your deck and we'll get started with the read. See you in a minute. Okay, we're back. So what I'm going to do is the first deck we have is the Vice Versa Tarot, and with it is my favorite Dalmatian Jasper. This was tumbled by a very good friend of mine, and it's one of my favorite stones. The second deck we have is the Anna Kay, and I have this beautiful smoky quartz stone that just goes so beautifully with it. And then the third deck is the Witch's Tarot by Dugan, and I always put with it, normally I have dragons that I put on top of this, but today we're going to go with the Sleeping Cat. So sorry guys, nothing fancy this week. Sleeping Cat with the Witch's Tarot. But let's go ahead and get started. So let's first, we will go and first off pull your card. So deck number 1, what is your D&D story? What's your D&D story? Yep, you saw that came out. Oh, changing faces. I love that card. It's so beautiful. We'll read the story in a minute. And And then let's go ahead and let's see. Okay, so with this story, what holds you back? We'll go with the card on top. And then what propels you forward? Ooh, this flipped. Wow, okay. You kind of have the Knight of Swords on the top there. The nice thing about the vice versa deck is that it always, there is no formal card back. Both sides, you know, when it flips, it's you're reading the card as if it were a reversal. So in the center of the deck, so the heart of the situation, let's go ahead and get the heart of your situation. What's the heart of the situation? What's the core? Wow. Oh, you got a beautiful card, guys. And what is your advice? And I paired my the heart with my opal stone. The lighting doesn't do it justice. It glitters like a billion different colors. A billion of them. Okay, so what is your advice? What's your advice for your situation? What is your advice? Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go with this. Ah, very cool. Oh, I'm seeing a story already, guys. I see a story. Can you see? Okay. I'm gonna be very careful to make sure we stay in focus. I have been bad about that lately. Okay, I can articulate. Okay, so what is your chakra dice? Oh, that rolled right out. And it wanted to put the 6 on top. Or is that the 9? That's the 9. Sorry, guys. All right. So let's begin by first reading your, this is the Raven's Wand Oracle, and this is called Changing Faces. And oh, I've gotten this card before personally, and it's such a beautiful message. So let's go ahead and read it. So Changing Faces. Painted faces brighten any coven festival, and we all wear different faces on occasion, although perhaps not as striking as Lavinia's Silverdale's. Masking can help us by covering our vulnerabilities like a shield, such as wearing a brave face during a crisis or being attentive when really we feel exhausted. A mask can be new clothes or a hairstyle, and these simple things can give a fresh perspective can give us a fresh perspective on ourselves. Would you benefit from stepping out of your everyday routine and being someone else for a while? So here, the story, the base of the story is saying, you know, maybe you've been kind of doing the same old, right? And that really plays into the story because the tarot card that's holding you back, you got the 8 of Pentacles. And the 8 of Pentacles is really about routine, right? You see this guy chiseling away at a pentacle, right? And he's done it 7 times before, and he's really working on it. And the 8 of Pentacles is all the cards are, you know, there's no bad cards in tarot, but the 8 of Pentacles is really about honing a craft. But it is a lot about repetition too, right? When you're honing a skill, or when you're becoming a craftsman, an artisan at something, you do it over and over and over again. And you notice the nuances in each attempt, right? But the process can become a little rote. It can become repetitive, where you're doing, I'm hearing the phrase same old, right? You're doing the same old. And so that's in this story, it's telling you, okay, that's what's holding you back. You know, maybe, you know, when you try on a new face, right? You know, like when you try a new makeup, new clothes. I think here it's kind of telling you that, it's kind of saying that you might have worn the same face or the same mask for a long time, and maybe it'll be, or maybe it is just being yourself too. Maybe you've been yourself. And it might be encouraging you, the universe might be encouraging you to try something new, to try something different. Now, one other thing I want to point out is that this character looks a lot like the High Priestess, right? Because the 2 trees, she's got a dark tree and a white tree, and then you have the opposite in each. It's kind of like the yin and yang. But that really reminds me, that always makes me think of the High Priestess card, right? And the two sides. You can have more than one side of your personality. Now, what we have, what propels you forward is you have the Queen of Wands, but you have it in reverse. And it's interesting, you kind of have the Sphinx in the background on this card. But again, here I am getting a feeling like what propels you forward is just, I think I'm really getting a sense when, especially with it being in the reverse, the Queen of Wands in reverse is a little bit of a shrinking violet kind of energy, just meaning that you have all this power, right? The Queen of Wands upright she's very dynamic, she's energetic, she's creative, she's beautiful, she's passionate. And in the reverse, it means that energy is either blocked or just not manifesting. So here, I think what propels you forward is that I think that what the energy that it's telling you is that you really want to own your power, right? Don't be afraid of it. Don't feel like it's too much. The other thing is that when you look at the Queen of Wands, you can think, oh gosh, she is a little bit too much, right? But when you push that energy down and don't give it expression, it is kind of like that, it is a little bit of a feeling of not living up to being your true potential. You know how to do things well, but the thing is, you've been doing the same thing for so long, and that can be a job, it can be a hobby, it can be a relationship. And here it's just telling you, you might want to, I'm hearing the phrase, fake it till you make it, even if you're not. The other thing is that the Queen of Wands in reverse is lacking confidence. It's almost as if you're afraid to try to make the change. But here it's kind of telling me that go ahead and try it on, almost like a cosplay costume. Go ahead and, put the wig on, dare to be different, dare to be really extreme too. Because I think it's telling you, and the heart of the matter, you see the back of the woman too. You don't see the face of the woman. So here again, I'm getting a strong vibe as if kind of put your toe in the water, kind of ease into this transition. You don't have to become the Queen of Wands overnight. You just have to try it on and see how you like it. And I guarantee you that's how any great endeavor starts, is when you just kind of inch along. You start by little steps. I also seen that's how a lot of people discover their favorite things. Like that's how they discover their hobbies, is by dabbling. If you dabble. But here I see a blatant, she really just goes in and tries on this persona, right? And, if you've ever done that, if you've ever, not to sound funny, I don't know anybody firsthand who does this, but I remember one time I went roller skating and they asked me if I was a furry, and I was like, what's a furry? And it's someone who dresses up in like animal costumes, like almost like mascot costumes. And they all went roller skating that night. It was furry night. And what that is it is kind of like that. What people do is they take on a different persona. Not to sound strange, but it's completely acceptable. This is your life. You do what you want to do, right? But just like when people dress up like My Little Pony, like you've heard of bronies, it's kind of like that, but maybe in a more everyday kind of scale. Again, maybe you could try something different with your hair, try something different with your makeup. Maybe try on, maybe volunteer for something that you'd really like to do. But it's definitely saying, you're feeling kind of shy about it. You're not really trying to pursue it in full force. And it's encouraging you to do that, right? Now, the heart of the matter, you got intention. And I think this is really beautiful. First off, there's so many soft colors. It's very feminine, right? And in Lenormand, mountains mean challenge. But here you have a lot of really light colored clouds, which mean, it usually means positive thought. And hot air balloons, there's one in the distance. It's kind of seeing things from a higher perspective. And anytime I see swans, I always think of swans always look on the surface, look like they're gliding across the water, but underneath the surface, they're really paddling like crazy. But it basically just means a graceful transition. The heart of this is a graceful transition. You know, go ahead and also I'm seeing a lot of dark and light. I think it's also telling you that you want to embrace the light and the shadow within yourself. Sometimes a lot of conflict, a lot of our ego, and definitely the Queen of Wands means ego. It means a healthy self-esteem. A lot of times, if we do not accept both sides of our personality, maybe there's some kind of deep hidden side of you that you think is unacceptable or subconsciously thinks it's unacceptable. Either that, or if you have those negative self-thoughts that say, oh, well, you could never pull off that look, you can't do that, you can't be anything different than the tried and true. You know, that's not, in that sense, it's you not accepting the part of you that wants to come out. And here I really see that it's like kind of trying new things and really doing transitioning with grace. And I do think that you can get there. You can get to the Queen of Wands energy. It'll still be it'll be subdued. It'll be a little muted, you know, kind of shy. But, you know, you might not be full force, you know, Queen of Wands. I think you're going to be kind of a very novice version of her. You're not going to be as bold as, you know. I always think of the Queen of Wands upright as being those celebrities that go to like Met Galas wearing these really elaborate, like they have this really dramatic sense of style, and you know, but they're being like Lady Gaga in a meat dress. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like that. Like I wear what I want, when I want, how I want, because that's me. So here it's tempered. It's saying, okay, you don't have to show up at the Met, you know, wearing ostrich feathers or anything like that. But you do want to kind of let this really unique, beautiful, hidden side of yourself come to the forefront. Now, your advice is you got great adventure, and it says take a risk, venture forward. And gosh, guys, I just think by embodying, again, you know, with Pentacles, that's things that you value. I think that by letting yourself be who you are, or trying new things, letting some kind of hidden part of yourself come out to play, so to speak, I think it's going to take you in a new direction. You will do it gracefully. I see this. I see that, you know, don't be afraid that you're going to look foolish, because I see you doing this very seamlessly. The other thing that I think is that I think you might be a little self-conscious, which is a Queen of Wands in reverse. Like maybe you think, oh, I'm going to look stupid if I try to, you know, do that. No, not at all. You know how it's funny how we always say, we always think that other people are judging us, but when you think about it, if you actually could read minds, other people have very little interest. Like what you thought, you know, maybe you did something kind of stumbling and you thought everyone noticed. And really, in reality, no one noticed, right? Not in a bad way, but you trying something new would go over very well, and you would do it gracefully, right? You've got the swans right here, and you see that flowing dress too. I think, again, you know, if you dyed your hair blonde, or I'm not telling you to do that, but yeah, if you tried a new look or a new persona, it would go over very well, and it would be a transition. You might feel like you're working kind of hard at it, and you might think people notice that, but really it's from the surface, from the outside looking in, everyone thinks that you do it so gracefully and smoothly. And it's just telling you to take a risk. Take a risk, right? Venture. Go ahead and dare to be different is what I'm hearing, right? And now if we go ahead and look at your chakra die, your D&D chakra die, you got the number 9, and you got the green die, which is the heart chakra. And you know what I always do? Leo is associated to the Queen of Wands. Well, it could also be an Aries woman, but it's a fire woman, and you know, could be a fire moon sign as well. So could be Aries, Leo, or what is it, Sagittarius? And what it would be is that either way, the heart chakra, I always think it's great that Leos are always very brave, right? So are Aries and any fire sign, really. But the root, I think it's a Latin root of the word courage, is core. And core means heart. And I think the fact that it's saying the number 9 and the heart, I think you're closing out a cycle, right? I think and again, the fact that you see the back of her and the back of her, it's almost as if, they're walking out, they're leaving on a high note. So I think you are finishing up. You're kind of walking away from something that you've done, been there, done that, I know how to do that. I don't need to, I don't need to, I don't need to stick around in that same old, right? And I do think that is your D&D journey, is to just kind of, and make this change with all of your heart. Really make it heart-centered. Like really put a lot of energy into it. Put a lot of heart into it. Whatever, and also whatever your heart's desires. The other thing, when I see the number 9, I always think that when you close out a cycle, and if I put the astrologer hat on for a minute, anytime Saturn goes from one sign to the next, and Saturn's about to move into the sign of Aquarius, it's about to leave Capricorn at last. But when it leaves, it always kind of leaves you a little gift for completing the cycle. And when I see 9 is 1 down from 10. It's almost like you're about to complete that cycle. So I think this metamorphosis is your gift. It's your gift for completing the cycle, for working, because you worked really hard. Whatever you learned in the past, you learned really well. You know it inside and out. So your gift is to go ahead and very peacefully move into this new dynamic existence. All right, guys, so that was deck number 1. I really like that. I always get real long-winded, don't mind me. Let's put your stone on top. There we go. Okay, we'll put your stone next to you. Keep your 9 up front. All right, deck number 2, the Anna K. So let's go ahead and begin. Let's get your Raven's Wand story cards. So deck number 2, the Anna K. What is their D&D journey? What's their D&D journey this month? Deck number 2, what's their D&D journey? Ooh, needs before wants. Oh, I like that card. I've gotten that before. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we will get the rest of your cards. So what holds deck number 2? What holds them back? Holds deck number 2 back? What hinders their journey? What challenges their journey? Sorry, might take us a little bit of time. What hinders, what holds back? Okay, this is kind of sticking out, so we're gonna go with it. Wow, okay. And then moving forward, oh, that came quick. Oh, you got 2 majors, guys. Heavy hitter majors too. Oh my gosh. One right into the other. Transition. Okay, and let's go ahead and get the heart of your story. Are we in focus? It's the heart of deck number 2 story. What is their advice? What's their advice? Oh, did you see that? You saw that, right? Bam. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go with the top card. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm seeing some major synchronicities. Oof. I always that's why I love doing these reads. Okay, and let's go ahead and get your chakra. Let's get your chakra dice. Okay, we got 3. All right. And that is the crown chakra. That's pretty darn cool, guys. Yeah. I think, hold on. No, I'm sorry. I think that might be the third eye. Let me double check. I get this wrong all the time. Yeah, that's third eye. All right. Okay, just wanted to be sure because I have a few colors that are very close. Yeah, because the D20 is the crown. All right, so let's go ahead and read your story. You got needs before wants. That's a really beautiful card, guys. And I say this every video, it's not all cutesy either. We've got some very dynamic cards in this deck. But sometimes you get the cute young witch ones. So within her coven, Annie Barden is famed for her animal communication skills. Her success is rooted in knowing that every animal has a different need. As humans, we have to be mindful that there is a subtle yet profound difference between wants and needs. Wants are more indulgent than needs, which form our daily shelter, food, and safety. If your needs are met, firstly, be grateful, then consider your motives for wanting something more. Are you clear that this is for you and not to garner praise from another? If not, you may be living by someone else's ideals. All right, guys. So basically the story is, she knows the difference, and it's cute. I like how many different animals you see in here. You see a fox, she's holding a badger, there's a crane or a heron there, and then you've got a rabbit, and she's got things at her feet, even a snake, which means transformation. But yeah, so needs versus wants. It's funny, I've had really deep conversations with my mom about this before, about needs versus wants, because it's true. I always seem to get the feeling, the lesson of needs versus wants always, comes home anytime maybe I didn't budget quite well, and I'm living on a more stretched budget, food, like a more of a shoestring food budget, and then I'm thinking, oh gosh, why did I spend too much money on my wants and didn't leave enough for my needs, right? Other times I kind of feel it, and not to always relate it to money, but sometimes when it's an extra pay period, or it's that pay period when we're actually coming up on one. If you get paid bi-weekly, I think it's in May or June, that you're going to have 3 pay periods, and you just kind of feel really rich, right? You feel like you got money to burn, or you got money burning a hole in your pocket. I always try to remember, it's like, okay, let me at least pay down, a few pressing things first before I start getting, Miss Money Bucks, and start squandering anything. But the thing that I also think about with needs before wants is that I believe it's an 80s song. It's a Phil Collins song that it's called Another Day in Paradise. And I do try to remember that sometimes when, it's funny when I get grumpy, and and especially nowadays, this has been happening a lot nowadays. I used to, I'm just to share with you, I'm on my 12th day of not going to the coffee, not going out for coffee. So I haven't had hot espresso in close to 2 weeks. If I can last to day 21, I probably will be completely weaned off caffeine, which is fine. It's probably healthier for me. But you notice how when you do it every day, I go in and I spend a good $5 every day for that espresso, right? And when you do the math, you could easily buy an espresso machine and, it would pay for itself. Or when you think about it, there are families, there are people out there who don't have the luxury of going out and buying fancy coffee. They call it a basic, right? I'm a basic woman, right? And it's a first world problem. So a lot of times when I start getting grumpy and going through coffee withdrawal, which I have been lately, you get grouchy, and you're just like, you start feeling like what you have is not enough, like, well, darn it, why can't I go get my coffee? And, especially with all the precautions we're taking now for health. But I do try to stop myself and say, I do have a roof over my head. I have 3 meals per day, many of them hot meals. I can make coffee at home. It may not be the fancy espresso, which I'm missing so much right now, but maybe later when that luxury comes available again, I'll appreciate it that much more. But the Phil Collins song always plays in my head. It's very melodic, and it's like, it's like, hey, think twice. It's just another day for you and me here in paradise. And that's what I think of when I compare needs and wants. Because there are people out there, there are folks, and it's not even just just in everyday life. It's someone you can make eye contact with in everyday life that may not have enough money to meet their needs. And we are lucky. You're lucky when you have the little things in life, you have the bare necessities. So, what I'm seeing here is that that's the kind of story, it's like, okay, being mindful. And when you are getting in that irritable, grouchy mood, stop yourself and look around and say, okay, what is it about my life that makes me happy, that I am grateful for? It's interesting. I have a wall of pictures of nature, that it's a lot of pictures of places that I've gone and things that I've seen, and every single one of those pictures has a story to it. So it's almost like kind of waking up, and if you are in that needs versus wants kind of mindset, or you're feeling that lately, like you don't have enough, or what you have is not enough, or that you want something else. That's the other thing, is that when you want, it's like, if you really stop yourself and say, okay, and you could even compare it to something else, like, okay, perfect example, me and tarot decks. There's a lot of times a new tarot deck will come out and it's like, oh, it's so pretty, I gotta have it, da-da-da-da-da. And another activity that I do when it comes, when I'm feeling that, when the buzz is out and I'm looking at pictures, I'll scroll through pictures and be like, oh gosh, that's just a new tarot deck. Everyone's going to be buying it. I want to buy it. It looks so cool. Either that, or, oh, well, I have an old car, the car that I have runs, but I would look so much better if I had this car, or, gosh, I need to move, or things like that, things that would change, that you would do just to look better, or things that you just kind of had the green-eyed monster about, or the you really, really want, It's funny, I do try to, like in the example of a tarot deck, if something is really kind of a little bit more expensive and I don't know if I should really peel off any money because I have a lot of tarot decks already, what I will do is I'll comb through and I'll say, okay, do I like 2/3 of the deck? And then I will wait a day. And this is a good test, and this is something that I do quite often, and it's really never failed me, is that if it's something kind of bigger, like if it's something, and definitely it's over $100, I automatically apply this test to it, is what I'll do is I will wait a day. I will wait 24 to 48 hours. And within that 24, 48 hours, if that item that I had, that I was so eager, that I was so Jones, so juiced to buy with a single click, right? Is if that item automatically pops up in my head without me kind of forcing myself to think about it, and if it does it like several times within 24 or 48 hours, then that might be a warranted purchase. Sometimes you do get impulsive, and especially now that we have so much time, if you're working from home or if you're practicing social isolation right now, you start online shopping. You might get bored and you start online shopping, and you might start thinking, oh, well, I need this, I want this. But again, if it's something a little bit more pricey and would put a dent in your budget, if you do that technique, if you wait 24 hours and think, okay, my mind did not go back to that item anytime in 2 days. I must not really need it. I must not really need it, right? And it's true, I do that a lot, and it's funny. There's only one other thing, is that there has been a few times. There was one time that with jewelry, I bought a ring sight right then, because I got the gut instinct that it wouldn't be there if I didn't buy it then. But most of the time, the 2-day rule, the 24 hours sleep on it rule, works very well. Now, in the past, or what holds you back, is you got judgment. You got judgment, and I love the depiction of judgment in this deck. I think I actually used it for the How to Tarot, but you see kind of an older person coming out of the cave, and they start to get younger and younger as they're walking into the light, and there's this angel and bright sunlight. And it's interesting, there's a philosophy, a concept that calls the cave of shadows, like it's almost like coming out into enlightenment. But what it is that the fact that the wake-up call, the judgment, is in the past, or is what holds you back. I think what might be happening is that you may know what you need. You may know that this is what, but I get this feeling as if the cave is what you want and the light is what you need, but you're kind of staying. The reason it's holding you back is because maybe you're staying with your wants more, or I'm also getting a feeling like there might be a little bit of conflict, like you feel like you might want to go more towards what you need, but there's something in your wants is kind of weighing you down. It's anchoring you down and keeping you stuck. Now, to move forward, you got the World. And the World is such a powerful card, guys. And it talks about completing a cycle, right? You have the waxing moon, the full moon, the waning moon, and the new moon. And I love the depiction of the roots of the tree. It's like the tree of life, right? The tree of life. And here, I'm definitely getting, because these are both majors, I am getting a very, very strong sense that your wants and needs are not anything physical. Like, this would not be, what we're talking about with you is not a tarot deck, it's not a piece of jewelry, it's not a car, it's not a house. It is what you need in life. What you need in life to be happy. Because you see this girl and she's content. She's content. And the thing is, she's serving too. She knows remember she said she instinctually knows what the animals need and want, But I think that, and the fact that it's kind of going between judgment, and it's going from 20 to 21, and these are the last two cards of the majors, I think you're completing a very powerful cycle in your life right now. And I think before, you might have been tangled up in want, and that could be a situation in life, it could have been a relationship, but now you have come through. You've come through this situation, and you've gained a much better understanding of what your actual needs are. And that's the other thing with wants and needs, is that sometimes we really think we know what we want, or the other thing is we try to make what we want into, we try to give it the label, well, I need it, but I need it, right? But really, you don't need it, you just want it, right? But the heart of the matter is you got vast universe. You got vast universe. And gosh, guys, I really do think that I get this real strong feeling that you completed some kind of karmic cycle. Maybe not even karmic, but just some kind of spiritual cycle. And you were about to graduate. You're about to graduate. You really, I think in maybe the last year, the last couple of years, you've really been challenged at a spiritual level. And you've come through with a lot of patience. You learned what you needed. You learned the difference, right? You learned the difference. I'm also feeling a lot of gratitude, because the other thing about the World is it does, one theme that I'm seeing so far is that everyone seems to be coming to the end of a cycle. We're coming to the end of a cycle, and a lot of times when you complete a cycle, there's rewards that come with that, right? It's probably spiritual enlightenment, But the other thing is that it is going to let you start, because the world is the ending of one cycle and the beginning of another. And oh gosh, guys, your advice card, tell me this does not sum that up. Reaching your destination. Your light is shining brightly. Shining brightly, guys. And look, you've got globes in all three of these cards. You've got what looks like the sun. You've got, and look at this. Tell me the clouds in this do not look like the same, you know, space and stars and completing cycles and the circles. I just really think you've come through with flying colors. Whatever it is that you were learning, you came through with flying colors. And this is the third eye chakra. And what that is that the third eye chakra deals with when it's in its positive manifestation, it rules insight. When it's blocked, it rules illusion. But you got the number 3, and the third house is communication or understanding. And again, I think that you guys have awakened. You've awakened. And I'm seeing a lot of purple too. I'm seeing purple in this card. It really looks like the same shade. Again, yeah, I'm very glad for you guys. I feel like you have graduated and you've learned some very powerful lessons. It has made you brighter. And I think that you are one of those persons who wakes up every day and counts your blessings. And I do think that you might have been through some very dark times. You really did come out of a cave with a few things. So it has not been an easy path, but the universe wants to let you know that you've reached your destination and you should be very proud. That's really wonderful. But all right, guys, so that was your message. Again, another really powerful one. I love these cards. And I can get completely different meanings depending on, you know, the cards around it. It's really amazing. All right, so let's continue on and get to the last deck. We have the Witch's Tarot with our agate cat. So, before we get started, let's get your story. So deck number 3. Oh, you saw that, right? Ebb and flow. Oh, how cool is that? So I'll let you see your card, and then in a minute we'll read it. All right, ebb and flow. What holds deck number 3 back? What propels them forward? Okay, this card is sticking out. You see that? I'm going to go ahead and go with that one. And what's the heart of the matter? Heart of the dragon's heart. And every D20 I use different cards for the oracle side, for the dragon's heart. But what is the dragon's heart of this situation? Ebb and flow. What is the dragon's heart of this situation? Status quo. Okay, and what's your advice? What is the advice for deck number 3? Ooh. And last but not least, what is our chakra die, our D&D chakra die? Okay, we got 4. And we got the root chakra. Wow, guys. There's a lot of red in this too, so I'm seeing synchronicities. That's awesome. So ebb and flow. Let's go ahead and read your story. What is your D&D story? Okay, ebb and flow. Hei pays respects to a river spirit in her homeland. Along its length, a single river branches frequently and changes character often. Thus, it houses many different spirits. We are similar, one soul with many aspects. The way these aspects ebb and flow makes us the individuals that we are. Some of your traits might disappoint you. Are you prone to impatience or criticism, for instance? Flaws are not a problem in and of themselves, but surrendering to them can be both for us and others. The next time your instinctive reaction is to exhibit one of these flaws, pause, rethink, and gently tell that flaw that it isn't required right now, and then move on. So here, guys, it's kind of talking about, it's interesting. In the first deck, we talked about like the shadow and light of ourselves. Like, I'm going to go ahead and close the window. It's starting to get a little gray out. But we talked about how you can have, everybody is unique in the fact that we have strengths and weaknesses, right? And the funny thing is, well, not even funny, but the source of all of our strength is always our weaknesses, right? Like, sometimes if you're indecisive, it means that you weigh the pros and cons before you make a decision. So that's both positive and negative. But what it is that you shouldn't chastise yourself for manifesting. Everybody has flaws, right? It's what makes us who we are. And that's what it's saying here, is that the river has spirits, right? And just like the river has tides and things change, so what it's telling you is that just like, the river is fluid and it goes with the ebb and flow, so does your positive and negative attributes. You accept your negative attributes, but you really don't want to perpetrate them in situations. You don't want to push if your flaw is showing as a flaw, right? And it's interesting, I always think that personal dynamics, I don't even see it, I don't even label it really a flaw. I know it's an imperfection, but I think what it is that sometimes the shadow sides of our personalities, or the sides that are just, maybe you have a character trait that doesn't, get along. It's like, I always think of it like developing a photograph. When you develop an old photograph, not the digital ones today, you put them in baths of there's developer. And what developer does is it causes friction, right? It's on a molecular scale. You can't see it doing it, but what it's doing is it's causing friction, and it's developing the image. And my mom always has a saying too. She always says that, people, and it can be family, it can be relationships, you're almost like two sharp rocks that knock up against each other. After a while, you start to knock off your sharp edges and you wear each other down. So sometimes your flaws are needed. Don't look at your flaws like, oh, those are just the worst, I'm a bad person because I have this imperfection. Really, a lot of times those flaws go to develop other people or to develop yourself. So there's a purpose for you having a flaw. But what I love about the story is that it says, if that flaw is not needed in this situation, pause, think and say, okay, you're not needed right now. You're not needed right now. Go ahead and sit down. We don't need you to develop anybody. You don't need to develop anything right now. So, the imperfection is not needed. Now, in the past, or what holds you back, is you got the Ace of Wands. So I think what it's really telling me is the Ace of Wands, and we had a tarot not too long ago on this one, is that it's that jump start of energy. It's that really grand new idea. It's the new idea that you're about to do. It's the jump start, the jumping off the diving board, right? But with the fact that it's holding you back is that maybe that could be your flaw. Maybe you get a little too eager about things and you jump into things head first before really either thinking out or looking ahead. Alternatively, it could be that maybe in the past you did not check your flaws, right? Maybe you knew that you were coming from a not negative, but you were expressing the side of yourself that others might not like so much, but you did it anyway, right? You just went ahead and did it. You didn't check yourself, right? So that's kind of what I see as being held back, is when you either jump ahead or jump too quickly and let that flaw have free range. Now what moves you forward, and this really makes sense, is you got the Seven of Pentacles. And the Seven of Pentacles is saying, okay, that's the gardener who's evaluating his crops, right? He's determining what he needs to do because the crops aren't ripe yet, right? The pentacles are not falling from the tree. They have some more time to grow. And again, the Seven of Pentacles really evaluates the value of the situation. They gauge. And the thing about it is that they wait. They step back. Right? They lean back and say, okay, what is the value of this? How can I make this valuable? And I think that's what it's saying. It's like, okay, how can I make this flaw valuable? And that could either be by subduing the flaw and telling it not to show itself, or you can say, okay, how can I make this side of my personality productive? How can I use this to help others? And it is telling you that you don't want to be impulsive with it. It looks like the impulsive is what gets you into trouble. It is telling you to stop, think, and look at that. You remember where we said it said stop, think? And what is this guy doing? He's stopping and he's thinking. He's thinking a lot, right? So again, it's kind of like, I also get the fact that because it says ebb and flow, excuse me, that was a tickle in my throat. Because it says ebb and flow, I think it also kind of means that you kind of want to evaluate the situation very closely, because the dragon's heart of the situation, you got status quo. So in that interpretation, it could mean that you're keeping up with the status quo, or that might be what it's encouraging you to do. Again, the Ace of Wands holding you back is kind of like don't jump to grand ideas on your own. Maybe, slow down and really look at it. The other thing is that a lot of times the status quo, doing the tried and true, seems a little boring, but here it's telling you that there's a lot of value to be had by taking the plotting steps, by not rushing forward, by not, so in that respect, I am getting kind of a vibe as if maybe the flaw is being a little impulsive. But if you take gentle steps and continue, and maybe if you even kind of follow the path that others have followed, or just kind of follow the rules, that you'll get a lot farther. Right? And it is kind of going with the ebb and flow, right? Because the ebb and flow, that river's been flowing the same direction for how long? It's got a system down. That's the other thing I think of when I think of status quo, is following the system. And you might be feeling a little restless with it, but that is that's you telling the restlessness it's okay. We're following the steps we need to, and we're gonna get our harvest if we do that. We don't have to take sudden action right now. Now, the advice that you got is you got Voyage of the Heart, and it says love flows through you and to you. And what I really love is that all the water imagery in this, I definitely get a feeling like if this is probably emotions related. And I love the colors, and the fact that this is really a beautiful card. She's got the stars, and it's like Gaia, looking at all of nature. But here, I do think that it is telling you that you do want to follow your intuition. It isn't that you're stifling your intuition or not listening to your gut instinct, but it is just telling you to take a balanced perspective with that. And it is almost as if the two together, because that's the other thing about positive manifestation and not negative, but when you're showing your positive attributes and your negative attributes, they work in conjunction, right? They're two sides of one coin, right? And if they work together, and again, if you're able to balance them and follow your heart, you can still get where you need to go. It's not going to be, you're not going to be speed racer with it. but you'll get where you want to go, right? And it will give you that emotional fulfillment that you're seeking. It's like this witch is doing. She's following the river. Now, what you got is you got the number 4, and you got the root chakra. And what it is that the root chakra talks about base needs, right? Talks about base needs. It talks about the things that, like food and shelter. And oh my gosh, guys, that's been coming up a lot in this read today. That's been kind of a common denominator theme. I don't know if it's because of world events, and maybe all of us are just, we're inside and we're kind of stockpiling things, food and water. But the root chakra, it really is about that. It's the very base of your spine. It's your base needs. It's your childhood. It's like, okay, did you have, when you were a baby, when you were a toddler, did you have adequate shelter? Did you have adequate food? Did you get adequate emotional support, mental support? Were you shown the right things? And what it is that, when the root chakra is positively manifesting, it talks about survival. And not survival in the dramatic way, but it's more about survival in just the everyday needs. Do I have breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Do I have enough money to pay my bills? Am I grateful for the roof over my head? And the other thing that I noticed is that the red really does look like her lantern, right? It almost looks like the lantern that's lighting the way, right? But now the negative manifestation of the root chakra is fear. Like fear of not having enough, fear of not having your needs met. And maybe that is where some of this impulsiveness is coming in. Again, the seven of Pentacles is really like, sometimes that can be read as okay, why isn't this growing fast enough? Either that, or you can see that he's really kind of watching those pentacles. He's scrutinizing them. He's really, so a lot of times that can be kind of a fearful thing. Like, okay, do I have enough pentacles? Do I have enough security? Do I have enough money? And you might, be kind of impulsive and saying, well, I need more. But here it's telling you, you might have enough. You don't have to be stuck on survive. And the other thing is with the 4s represent the pillars. They represent stability. So to get the 4 with the root chakra, I am definitely getting a vibe of home, or just, just a sense of having enough. Like you want to feel stable. You never want to feel lack. You never want to feel like you don't have enough. But here, I think you do kind of have to check your kind of, sometimes you get maybe panicky about it, because that's something that's a little bit of an energy of, well, how do I get more? How do I get more? And you might have to say, okay, that is not needed right now. That attitude, there are situations that would call for that. Now is not the situation. Now we need to just take our plotting steps, go slow, and we will, our harvest will come. Everyone will have enough. Everyone will have what they need. Just slow and steady wins the race, right? So you're trying to control that fear, and not let the survival instinct, And you're also, make it a voyage of the heart, right? Just the other thing is about with wands, that's a lot of passion, right? That's a lot of heart-centered energy. So, just make it a journey. Put that energy towards that. Enjoy. I know it's cliche, but they always say it's the journey, not the destination, right? All right, guys. Well, that was your read. And again, oh wow, see, I do love the D20 reads. They're fun, they're different. And I know we don't actually play the D&D game, I have a friend who's very good at it, and I'm still learning. I'm reading the books and things like that, but I'm definitely going to try to do more different things as we do these reads. But I think the layout that we do is pretty fun. But let me know what you think in the comments. Please let me know if you enjoy these. We'll see if we want to keep doing them throughout the rest of the year. but I'd like to thank you for joining me today. We are almost to 50 subscribers. I am so blown away by that, and I am so grateful. I want to thank everyone for their support of my channel. And what I'm going to do is, once we hit 50, as soon as we hit the big 50, I will do a special reading. There's a reading that I've had in mind, and I'll go ahead, and as soon as we reach that milestone, I'll post it. But I hope you have a good week. If you want to join me on Saturday, I will be doing the weekly energy card reading. And then again on Tuesday, we will have the How to Tarot Tuesday. And so far we are in the beginning of the Wands suit. So I hope to see you then, and I hope you have a good week, and I'll catch you later. Bye.